This is a Weather Tracker TV breaking weather alert.
All right, folks, we want to go and jump back on here live with you, do another update. We're still watching this activity out to the west. We've got a little bit of severe weather that's trying to spin up out there. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is in effect until 6:15 this evening. And out of this entire line that's coming in, most of this should stay below severe levels. However, there's a little segment that obviously has already come up to severe levels, but there's a little bit of organization within it that may lead you to believe that it could be severe a little bit longer than just an hour or two. So we want to track this carefully, if that makes sense. By the way, one of our storm trackers is out there on it now, and we will also be looking at his video, again, coming up here momentarily as well. But here's what I want to do. I want to go take a look. In fact, this is actually what I want to do. I want to take a look at our other weather source. I want to go and zoom this in. And number one, right now in the Metroplex, we've got showers around, right? The evening commute, it was damp to wet for you, but there was not a lot of active weather in the form of thunderstorms or in the form of severe weather. That's going to be changing, though, as we go through the evening, especially 7:30, 8, 9, 10 p.m. here in the Metroplex. We are going to have this line of storms coming in. Two things I'm noticing. Number one, we have a severe warning for hail, but you can also now see this bowing segment as well. See kind of the leading edge of it, how it almost has like a little tip there as it comes in, right? That's indicative of some gustier winds. I don't see excessively strong winds, but could we have some concerns even with winds up to 60 miles per hour with this leading edge as it does move in? It's maybe trying to organize in that direction, okay? So we're going to be watching the wind potential, but the other piece of this, at least right now, it is the hail concern, and that's truly why this warning has been issued. Truly the warning now is going to be for parts of Parker County and parts of Wise County. The warning goes all the way up to Bridgeport. The warning is north of the Weatherford area. For our friends out in Weatherford, the warning is north of you, but it's because of this. You can see the hail core. I mean, the area black going to white. And it's because we've had some pretty weak shear with this. Let's go look at the velocities again. And again, we'll take a look at the inside. Again, we're not talking about this from a tornadic potential. I know sometimes when we use these colors, that might be the first thing you think of. But again, you can just see this very weak shear showing up right there. And when you get that shear, weak shear, it'll lead you to have a hail core. And sometimes you can even get a larger hail core. In this situation, we have at least a minimally severe hail core that has tried to get a little bit bigger from time to time as well. And at least right now, we've got about quarters to maybe, again, half dollar size hail. Again, not impossible out there. So anything quarters or above is technically severe. Again, if you're worried about hail damage, typically you need to get up around 2 inches or larger, okay? So we're not quite there, but we are still at severe hail. And the other piece of this, as long as we kind of have this organized area of weak shear, that hail core could persist, right? So the warning only goes until 6:15. Right now, there's no real indication that the hail core is getting any smaller, and the area of shear is still there. So, you know, kind of where I'm going with all that is, could we potentially even have some kind of marginally severe weather trying to make its way into parts of Tarrant County or maybe even parts of Denton County again as we go through the evening. So we'll watch that carefully. But again, right now, the overall severe threat, again, does remain relatively low. But again, with all that said, we want to keep our eye on it. This is the other thing I want to do. I want to go out to Jackson. I just saw he was trying to get away from the hail core. And let's go and take a look at his shot. And it may not be a great shot. I think he's still maybe even, oh, you know what? This is his reverse cam. That's what it is. You can actually see the bed of his truck. So it's the reverse angle that you're looking at. But Jackson, you're there with us. I know you're trying to kind of get away from the hail core. Give us an update on the storm. What have you seen as you've been out there?
Yeah, William, we're currently right next to this thing. We are,
and we may briefly be losing
here.
him. Jackson, I think we lost you there for just 1 second. Go ahead one more time. I know you're in a really rural area, and go ahead and give us one more update there from your location.
Yeah, we're northwest of Springtown, and we're trying to get away from this thing right now. It's got a huge green color to it, and we're trying to get away from it right now to try and save our windshield. So we had saw a mesocyclone on this side. For right now, there doesn't appear to be one. I think view be one back in the rain. None in view right now. just looks like it's completely squalled out and is just a huge.
Yeah, and when Jackson's talking about that green hue, a lot of times if you're a tracker in the field, you see that it's indicative of a hail core. And in this situation, I mean, absolutely, that's what it is. And you can see the base. I mean, where his shot froze there momentarily. And again, he's using his reverse cam. It looks weird, but he's driving away, right? He's got dual cameras. But again, you can actually see the base. I mean, there's a little bit of I mean, you hate to use in this situation the term wall cloud because right now we're not at any type of tornadic potential, but there is some disorganized shear with this. And you can actually see the base of the mesocyclone on the right-hand side of his shot. And, so we're watching that, but where I'm going with that, again, it's aggravating that hail core. Let's come back over to the hail core tracker. And again, Jackson, great shot. And like I said, as soon as he gets away from it, we'll get an even better shot as well. And obviously, he's in a very rural area. So again, his connection is even a little bit in and out. Now here's the good news. Just over the last few minutes, and I'm going to lapse this, the hail core that was really trying to jump up on us has really begun to come down, right? And even as Jackson was talking there about how the thing was kind of lining out, that's essentially what we're beginning to see here now on radar as well. So where this really pulsed up, again, for a few minutes on us, again, even triggered that warning, the good news is we may be seeing a bit of a cycle down. Now, with that being said, you can still see, and if you look at this carefully, you can still see this really broad area of disorganized spin. Again, not from a tornadic potential, but again, could it begin to re-aggravate that hail core? In fact, you can even see kind of the comma feature, right? The inflow coming into this storm, and again, it's spinning right back into here. And when you get that, a lot of times on the top side, you can get kind of a bigger hail core right there. So we saw that come up. We saw the hail core basically begin to ease down, but just structurally speaking, right? When you're looking at this, kind of the mechanics of the storm, it's still essentially there, and it may not be impossible that again we do get that hail core to begin to try and kind of regenerate itself. Hopefully that's not the case because we were really anticipating kind of getting through this evening without much in the way of severe weather. But at least right now, this storm, again, out there looking just, again, obviously a little more interesting. And again, officially that warning does continue out there for about another 8 minutes until 6:15 this evening. Let me do this. Let me come back over to the hail core tracker. And again, that's a great shot there from Jackson. Like I mentioned, if you're looking at a shot, it looks just a little weird, again, because he's driving away from it, right? That's his reverse camera. So he's driving away from the storm, but a pretty good shot there of the structure. The latest sweep, again, coming in there from NextRad, essentially showing that hail core basically is kind of spun down. So, I mean, in this exact situation, again, with that hail core kind of vaporizing out there, there's probably not going to be a lot for the Weather Service to extend the warning on, right? So more than likely at 6:15, they're going to allow that warning to expire. One report of some pea-size hail. This is going to be out in Wise County. And in fact, the Weather Service, they're giving at least some indication they may go ahead and allow this to expire. From what we're seeing on radar, that would be very understandable. But the only thing to keep in mind, and again, especially if you live, like in Boyd, over maybe towards the 287 from Decatur south in Wise County, and maybe even far northeastern portions of Parker County, again, there's still some pretty, again, I say broad spin, again, not from that tornadic standpoint, but again, could we get this hail core, again, to try and at least repronounce itself? And again, this is the area that we're talking about, again, just kind of right back in there. You can see that little finger. Again, you can even see within the precipitation how we just kind of have that broad spin. But at least right now, the hail core literally, just as Jackson was saying there moments ago, has essentially vaporized, and we're just not getting the indication of hail any longer. But again, you can still see the base there. And Jackson has now switched cameras. It looks like he's now maybe using the front camera out the window. But I want to talk to him again, Jackson. You've been looking at the storm. We're definitely seeing it more from radar. The hail core basically vaporizing in front of us here. Are you still seeing any of that kind of greenish hue that is a little more typical of hail? What are you seeing out there now in the field?
Yeah, we're able to see the green, but the camera is not. We're heading towards Springtown. We got to get through Springtown pretty quick because this thing is right on our tail. Getting through Springtown is a little bit of a difficult challenge. So we're just going to keep heading this way. We still are able to see the green. The green has not changed in intensity. It's not getting thicker. It's not getting lighter. It's
It
just
looks it
it's
looks
making
like
a
from here,
green
Jackson,
color.
most of that hail core is basically vaporized. My only real other question, we saw a pretty well defined base, a few minutes ago, also while you were on. And again, we're not talking about. We just want to keep saying that we're not talking about anything tornadic here. But again, we kind of had that base. We had that invigorated mesocyclone that again was producing that hail, that more substantial hail core, 10 minutes ago, especially when you were first talking with us. But we're not necessarily seeing that any longer in your shot. Again, not from a tornadic standpoint, but just from an organizational standpoint. I mean, the base, it looks like that's almost kind of non-existent now in your shot as well. I mean, are we kind of seeing that correctly from here too?
Yeah, we're a little bit further south than you can really see, but we have not been able to see a mesocyclone over the past about 10 minutes. If there is one, it is heavily embedded, and we are unable to see it right now. But we are seeing an increase in lightning activity. I will say that, and the greenish hue has maintained. It has not gone down whatsoever. So I still keep I would definitely still keep a big eye on this just to see if there is a mesocyclone that forms back up.
Okay, so we're going to keep our eye on that. But again, great shot there and great report, Jackson, as well. And so again, just one more time, as we're talking about mesocyclone, we're just talking about from a health standpoint. But it appears as though this is kind of gusting out a little bit. There's still kind of that area of shear embedded within it. But it appears as though the overall concern of hail is definitely going down. In fact, I mean, the Weather Service there for right now, they're going to allow this warning to expire. It's one of those deals we do want to keep our eye on it. But the good news is, I mean, if again you have interest again in Wise County or even parts of Parker County, again the overall concern with severe weather for most of us as we go through the evening does remain relatively low. So let me go and zoom this out, and again we'll give you the overview. And again, we'll continue to have live radar updates and extended coverage again as needed. We do want to stick with this one here for just a few more minutes. Again, obviously Jackson is right there as well. Again, you can kind of see that area of dark gray right there, kind of in the center of a shot. And that's where that old kind of mesocyclone slash base was. And again, that's what really aggravated that hail core, again, just about 20 minutes ago. If you were with us maybe 20 minutes ago or maybe on one of our previous updates, again, we really had that hail core jumping up quarters, half dollars at one time, maybe just a little bit bigger than that. Again, right now we're not seeing much of a hail core whatsoever. Again, one of the reasons why the Weather Service allowing that warning to expire. But then the other thing we just got to keep our eye on here too, just for the fact we have a bit of a bow segment. I just want to look at the velocities here one more time. And again, the radar sight, the way you look at this, the radar sight kind of down here towards the bottom of your screen, right? It's going to be down towards the Burleson area. So anything green, this area here, would be inbound. So we just want to sample this, but we're not seeing anything jump up and jump out at us, right? Because we're looking for anything 58, 59, maybe up towards 60 that would make something severe, right? I mean, there is some gusty wind here. I mean, there could be some 40 to maybe even 50 mile per hour winds. But again, similar thing that the Weather Service, I'm sure, is doing right now as well, just kind of doing their due diligence, making sure there's no anything gustier, if you will, than 40 or 50. And again, right now we're not seeing that. So this is kind of morphed from something that was severe. It definitely got our attention by the way it came up, again, with that hail core that developed quickly. But truly, since then, it's continued to come down in intensity. It's continued to weaken. And again, right now, as this does move into the Metroplex here over the next hour, hour and a half, the general plan is this will just kind of be some good old-fashioned general Texas thunderstorm activity, right? Some heavy rain, some lightning. You want to stay away from the windows because of the lightning. And again, obviously use extreme caution if you are going to be on the roadways whatsoever. Just for the heck of it, we'll come back over to the velocities one more time. And again, just look within the storm. And again, this was kind of that old, kind of weak mesocyclone right up in here that we had. And again, that's what really created that hail core. And it's just so broad. I mean, it's still kind of theoretically there, but not really. And again, because it's so much more broad, it's one of the reasons why we essentially saw that hail core, I mean, just completely vaporize. We'll look at the hail core product one more time here. And again, right now we're just getting a smattering. I mean, you could maybe see there possibly could be some P's to maybe dimes still showing up. But again, right now, this is mainly just heavy rain that, again, we're seeing moving in. Let me go and lapse this here. And I'll do an extended lapse. And again, when it was further out to the west, right out in here, this is when it really jumped up on us. And I say really jumped up. It wasn't overly damaging hail, but could there have been some quarters, half dollars, maybe from time to time something slightly bigger than that? At that point in time, yes, right? But again, since then, very quickly, the activity has weakened down. And again, you're seeing less of the black, less of the white, and you're mainly just seeing a lot of purple. Even though purple looks pretty intense, that's mainly general Texas thunderstorm activity. When you see that, what needs to get your attention is when you begin to see some black coloring or even some white coloring show up on radar. So let me go and switch this around. We'll put this here back in a live mode. And I want to do this just because we're on. We'll talk to Jackson again coming up here momentarily as well. Just locally in the Metroplex quickly, there are some scattered showers around. Again, none of this activity overly heavy, but in northern parts of Tarrant County, again, you can see over around the Jacksboro Highway, again, back over towards 35W, over towards the Keller community, even over towards the Grapevine area, scattered showers and thunderstorms showing up. Even some of that now venturing over towards the big airport. You can see in the corner of your screen the little yellow dot. There are some minor delays currently being reported out at DFW as this main wave of heavier activity moves in over the next couple of hours. Again, if you do have an evening flight, I would check ahead. More than likely there will be some delays. And then just quickly down here in Dallas County, we're basically quiet right now. There's some fog, there's some drizzle around. But again, for us, truly, we're obviously going to be watching for what comes in from the west, again, as we continue to roll here through the evening. Let me go and lapse this. And you can see the motion is very slow, right? So this isn't really accelerating into the Metroplex. It's going to kind of creep and crawl in. The other piece of that, as it does move into the Metroplex, the other thing we have to keep in mind is that opportunity of heavy rain and maybe even some prolonged heavy rain, just for the fact this is going to move through so slowly. So again, if you are running evening errands, there's something you're doing this evening, you have to be out on the area roads, just keep in mind as this heavier activity does move in, ponding on the roadways, localized street flooding, those are typically the things that really get our attention here in the Metroplex, and that's definitely going to be possible heading into the evening as well. I just want to take one more quick little peek at this, only for the fact our reflectivity is spiking up here just a little bit. I want to come back over to the hail core tracker. And right now this still looks pretty clean on the hail core tracker, right? I mean, you can see a little smattering, maybe some shot size hail, maybe some P's there. Obviously that's nothing major. But again, you just can see, you know, kind of the smattering of black, a couple little pixels of white. So we're just monitoring this, right? It jumped up on us. It gave us that hail core, that severe hail core, and there's still some very weak shear that could continue to aggravate the hail core. But right now, again, we're just not necessarily seeing it. We are seeing very heavy rain coming in, and especially out there in the Springtown area. That's where Jackson is. And while we've got his shot up there, let's go ahead and talk to him again. He did a great job. I mean, he really just kind of raced up there, and again, he had eyes on it. There's his live GPS. In fact, if you look at this carefully, we'll just zoom this in. You can see kind of that little blue SUV showing up there just on the eastern sides of Springtown. That's where he is. So Jackson, we're looking at your shot. Looks like you're just outside of Springtown. Heavy rain now moving into Springtown. Go ahead and give us a live update. And again, tell us what you're seeing out there now.
Yeah, so something interesting that I haven't seen before is we were getting some rain out ahead of that. Usually when you see that line, that wall of rain, that is right behind it is where you start to get the heaviest part, maybe some hail. But we were getting some rain out in front of it. So that line actually appears to be inside of the core itself, not the wall of it. There's not really a wall. It's just inside of the core itself, which is kind of interesting. But for right now, we haven't been able to see too much. We're a little bit further away now. There's still a very large squall line, or a shelf cloud, sorry, that is back there that we've been able to see. We've been tracking for the past while, but we haven't seen any rotational activity whatsoever. Nothing to be concerned about in terms of mesocyclonic or wall cloud activity whatsoever. We haven't really seen too much in terms of that.
Okay, great, Sean. I was just looking at something else coming in there as well. But no, another great report there, Jackson. Again, he has great shot there as well. That's his reverse camera. It looks, I know, a little weird there, but he's actually using the reverse camera, kind of the bed of his truck, again, looking back at that. But again, just a great shot, again, as that activity is now moving into Springtown. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning, the good news is, has been allowed to expire, and we basically just have heavier thunderstorms, right? General variety Texas thunderstorms, again, moving through parts of Parker County, moving into parts of Wise County, and then eventually, as we go over the next hour, hour and a half, 2-3 hours, that activity will just kind of be crawling through the Metroplex as well. And again, the opportunity of heavy rain, vivid lightning, ponding on the roadways. And again, right now, fingers crossed that truly, even though we had a severe thunderstorm warning, truly as we go through the rest of the evening, we'll be able to allow this activity to move on through without any additional severe weather. It's not a guarantee, because this could always pulse back up to a certain extent, but right now we're not necessarily seeing that. And again, hopefully, like I mentioned, this will just kind of be in and out as we go through the evening, again with rain and vivid lightning. On the flip side of things, if you're making evening plans, again, especially locally here in the Metroplex, again, please do keep that in mind, right? Over the next couple of hours, as this activity moves in, you see the initial line, that's obviously the heaviest, but even behind it, right, there's still additional rain. So especially after 8 p.m., 9 p.m., do anticipate a pretty wet, kind of a stormy evening. And then eventually, as we get deeper into the overnight, this will begin to taper off. Could be a few showers first thing tomorrow morning, but then as we go through Friday into a good part of the weekend, relatively quiet. And then we have our next storm system that's going to be arriving as we get into late Sunday. And there's at least a few indications later on Sunday there may be a more likely opportunity of some severe weather. Obviously, that's still being a few days down the road. Okay, let's do this here. I want to go take one more look at the hail core tracker. Let's just do our due diligence here. And I mean, we're not seeing anything, right? I mean, if you look ultra carefully, you can sample this just to the northwest of Springtown, maybe some pea-sized hail, right? So nothing concerning with that. Let's go and take a look back inside of this. And again, there was our old kind of, again, weak shear that we had momentarily earlier. No longer a concern there, even as we look at this for even a wind potential, right? We're sampling this. There could be some 30, some 40 mile per hour winds. That's not severe, right? That's just kind of general Texas thunderstorm, so no concern with that either. So we've got heavy rain. We've got a lot of lightning coming in for sure. We've got some winds, 40 to maybe 50 miles per hour, and we've got some pea-sized hail. So again, right now, none of that obviously near severe levels, and all of that essentially just equating to, again, kind of good old-fashioned Texas thunderstorm activity. I want to just kind of move the line here just a little bit further down, even for our friends down here in the Weatherford area. It's a similar story. We've been talking about that little segment off to your north, but again, regardless, you've got very heavy rain moving in, vivid lightning moving in, and that does extend all the way down Interstate 20, back down even into parts of, we'll take this a little bit further south, even down towards parts of Erath County as well, and then even potentially out to Stevens County there too, Possum Kingdom Lake, and again, even out towards the Breckenridge area, out towards Stevens County, most of that now beginning to taper off. So I want to do this. I want to zoom this out, and we'll go ahead and center this up one more time here locally in the Metroplex, because there are some showers. In fact, there's even a few rumbles of thunder around, even up in Denton County right now specifically. You can see about 10 strikes of lightning. None of that necessarily overly heavy, but there are a few pockets of heavy rain, maybe right there along the 380 north of Oak Point, and then potentially down 35E locations like Lake Dallas, down through Louisville Lake, locations like that. Again, if that is your evening commute, I know obviously we're now going on almost 6:20. So again, a lot of folks, the evening commute's just about done. But again, if you're still on that thoroughfare, keep in mind pockets there of heavier rain. And then also on the northern sides of Keller, a pretty decent pocket there of heavy rain too. Here in Dallas County, there's some very light drizzle. There's a little bit of fog. Again, we're still waiting for, again, the main wave of activity, again, coming in from the west as we get deeper into the evening. So let me go and widen out the view here. And we'll go ahead and lapse this. And coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to get you caught up on the rest of the forecast. So we'll stick with you here through the bottom of the hour. We'll continue to have live updates. We'll have more extended coverage if needed, as we go through the evening, especially as this activity does move through the Metroplex. But the good news is, at least right now, fingers crossed, as this activity moves through, we're generally hoping that this stays below severe levels. And again, we just have some heavy rain moving through. We're concerned about ponding on the roadways, things like that, some vivid lightning. We're staying away from windows. as the lightning moves through. And again, maybe some winds 30 to 40 miles per hour. But again, outside of that, this activity should remain, again, fingers crossed, relatively well behaved. Now, I say that, I just want to pause this, and I want to look down here south of Interstate 20, just real quick, only for the fact we've had this new little core just kind of spike up there in reflectivity. But let me go and take a look at this just with the Hell Core tracker. We've got a new Hell. This doesn't look overly concerning right now, but there's maybe an opportunity just on the southern sides of Weatherford out in southern Parker County, maybe some dimes beginning to develop there. So we'll keep our eye on that. Anywhere along the line, again, we could have some small hail. That doesn't necessarily jump up and get my attention, but it is a new hail core that, again, is just beginning to develop. So let's come back over to normal mode. And again, we'll go ahead and lapse this as well. In fact, we'll go and put this into movie mode. And again, we haven't had any other reports. You know, typically when we're kind of on here doing extended coverage, a lot of times we have reports coming in off the wire. We have additional details, you know, from our storm trackers. And it looks like Jackson's shot there may have even froze up there momentarily. We will check back in with him. He's done a great job, obviously, kind of intercepting this up near and around the Springtown area. But like I said, we'll keep our eye on that new little core just south of Weatherford. Right now, it doesn't look overly concerning. And again, otherwise, we'll continue to keep our eye, again, on all this activity, again, coming in from the west. I'm just taking a quick peek here at the weather wire as well. And like I mentioned, no new reports coming in. And really, even as we've gone over the last 20 minutes or so that we've been on the air with you, no real reports of hail. In fact, we just got one in of pea-sized hail, and that was in Parker County. And that's going to be down on, looks like it's going to be down on Interstate 20. That may have something to do with that new little hail core coming up down there. We'll keep our eye on that. But again, right now, that does not look overly concerning. And again, just quickly peeking here through the wire. And essentially right now, that's basically it. So again, this is where we are. Like I mentioned, going on right now about 6:27 at the bottom of the hour. Like I mentioned, we're going to flip you back over to our forecast show, talk about the rest of the forecast, again, talk about your weekend, even, again, our next opportunity of storms coming up on Sunday, late on Sunday. And then as this activity does move through the Metroplex, again, we'll continue to have live radar updates through the evening. And again, if we need to have some extended coverage, like I mentioned, we will do that as well. But again, the good news is if you're just now joining us, we did have one severe thunderstorm warning. It's now been allowed to expire. There are no severe thunderstorm or tornado watches that are in effect anywhere in the area. And again, right now, our fingers are crossed. I think we're going to be able to get through most of the evening without any additional severe weather. We just had one segment, one little piece of this line, if you will, that did quickly pulse up to severe levels. But again, since then, it's definitely kind of breathing out, it's exhaling, and we've definitely seen a weakening trend with it. Let me go and pause this. And we're going to zoom back in here. This is kind of that old segment moving towards the Boyd area. And again, while we have just about another minute and a half, let me just look at the hail core tracker. There's a new sweep coming in, and we'll look at the hail core tracker there one more time. And literally that hail core is completely gone. We're not seeing anything with that whatsoever. I want to come back down to the south, that one little hail core south of Weatherford that was trying to come up, and that's also gone as well. So right now, the good news is, I mean, really all of this is just being completely well behaved. Again, may have some winds, 30, maybe 40 miles per hour as this moves through as well. And again, right now in the Metroplex, we're truly waiting on this activity from the west to come in. If you're up in Denton County, though, there is at least currently some scattered activity ongoing up there. Again, nothing severe with that either. Pockets of locally heavy rain. And again, there is some lightning right now being reported in the Denton County area as well. 35E looking pretty wet. And again, up towards the 380, especially eastbound out of Denton, maybe heading over towards McKinney, something like that. Again, also looking pretty wet right now as well. So that's where we are, folks. Like I mentioned, we're going to continue to track this. We're not going anywhere. But again, since the severe weather, the severe thunderstorm warning's now been allowed to expire, like I mentioned, more than likely at the top and bottom and maybe at the 15 and 45-minute part of the hour, we'll be popping back on. We'll be doing these live updates as needed. We just kind of did an extended one here as we had that brief warning. So otherwise, like I mentioned, we'll have more on talking about your forecast coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Otherwise, keep it with Weather Tracker TV. We'll keep you up to date with the latest live weather information for North Texas. Okay, and great job too, Jackson, by the way. Hopefully you can hear me. But yeah, no, great job and great shot, man. Everything right there was great. We actually fixed your 2-box. It's more of a wide shot now, which looks better, by the way, on the air. But, you know, that cell, I mean, just literally as soon as we got on, as fast as we got on, you know, it basically kind of fizzled and there just wasn't anything left with it, you know. So we really just kind of had to kind of milk it and stay on until the bottom of the hour when the system went ahead and cut us off. But otherwise, great shot, great reports. And by the way, your audio, your video, everything sounded and looked great. I mean, there were literally no issues with that whatsoever.
Alrighty, well, I don't know if anything's going to happen on Sunday or if it's going to be Monday or whatever is going to happen.
Sunday looks interesting. The timing for the trackers is going to be the only problem. You know, if it's kind of a later evening, it's dark. You know, one of those type of situations, it might be kind of tough. I mean, it's one of those deals. If you're out, we'll always take what you have. You know what I mean? But you know, it may be more linear. I don't even know that you'll be out. But if you are, and you want to, obviously, you can always link in because we'll be down here doing coverage. On the way it looks now, we'll be doing coverage on Sunday unless something dramatically, you know, changes. But, you know, hail, wind, maybe even an isolated tornado threat within the line the way it looks now on Sunday. So, and like I said, we're still going to watch this. I mean, I'll still be popping on. I mean, you may be done. I totally get it. But even this, I mean, it's not impossible. We have one more little pulse up or, you know, whatever. Even as it moves through the Metroplex, more than likely we'll be on and, you know, kind of walk it across town, so to speak. So, all right.
Alrighty, sounds good to me.
So otherwise, man, and good job. And the other thing, we're recording these down here now, and I may not have time this evening, but like your clips, and I may not be able to do every update, obviously. But you know what I'm going to try and do for you guys, the trackers, especially if you have an extended clip. I want to cut. We have a new system. I want to cut them out and send them to you. If you don't want them, tell me, and I don't want to waste your time. But if you do want them, you know, you can put them on YouTube or you can make a reel, and you know, you can do whatever you want. But the system does record the entire live production on these extended ones now. And like I said, we can easily, for the most part, cut out, you know, some of your, you know, better ones or where there's something really going on. And like I said, you can build a collection or put yours on YouTube. You know, it's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. But, you know, even this evening or tomorrow, I'll try and do it for you just to see how this works. And, again, let you do whatever you want. I mean, if you don't want them in the future, let me know. But we will be trying to do those now, too. So, okay?
I'd love to have them. Just as many.
Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of figured you would. I mean, like I said, I think most people would. I mean, like I said, if for any reason you don't, let us know so I don't do it. But, no, I will try and do it. And that way you can just kind of build a little catalog of your live reports, because I mean, this is DFW, man. This is a major market, and I mean, you're doing like actual real deal live coverage. So, you know, that kind of means something as you know, build a little catalog, or again, put them on YouTube. You know, do whatever you want to do with them. You know.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
To me. Thank you very much.
No, sounds good, man. All right, so we'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Okay, you too. All right.